All right, there's been a lot of talk, but no word out of Alabama on whether Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts will be their starting quarterback. But our Paul Finebaum says he thinks that battle may actually already be over.
Select boosters get to go to these scrimmages on the weekend, and they're not allowed to tweet or text or tell anyone what they said, even though several have told me what they saw. And guys, Randy and John, I don't know how much longer Nick Saban is going to be able to camouflage this quarterback competition. Tua is going to be the starter. One person indicated to me that right now there's a competition for backup.
Right now, there's a competition.
That's how we gonna do it?
So
Seriously?
there are two completely separate things to unpack there. I know where you're going, so let me take you there first, and then I want to get to what their offense may look like. But you saw a tiny little clip of it there. Jalen Hurts very noticeably went very public with his disappointment with the way all of this has been handled. And Nick Saban initially said that rhetoric, is what he called it, will have no impact whatsoever on this quarterback decision. And now all of a sudden, according to Paul Finebaum, Jalen Hurts may not even be the backup quarterback. I sense that's where you were going with that.
That's foul. That's disrespectful. That's rude. That's flagrant. And here's the thing. This guy lost 2 games in 2 years. He's shown that he can be a really productive player leading that football team. Now, granted, we know Alabama quarterbacks don't go on to be all pros in the NFL under Nick Saban. So it's more defensive-driven, run game, and they a lot of times are being required to be game managers. I get that. However, his productivity speaks for itself. And for him to go from being second to possibly third, that makes me believe his comments when he came out publicly, they're holding it against him. And so there are going to be a lot of people out here that's saying, yeah, it's competition, and the best person going to play. I played sports my whole life. I get it. Work in the media. It's competition. I get it. But communicate with me. Don't disrespect me. And when I'm getting competed for with the third-string quarterback, after all I did for this program, and you know I can't really leave right now because I want to graduate in December. I don't want to be out there 4 games because you're going to mess up my opportunity to transfer. I just think it's rude if he ends up being the third-string quarterback.
So that's where we are with that piece of it. Now let's go to the other piece. Nick Saban has had the most successful run in college football history, running the football and playing defense, and asking his quarterback, as Jalen just said correctly, to manage the game. If he does decide to go with Tua, and that wouldn't be a surprise to anybody, do you expect that to all of a sudden look something more like a Big 12 offense than an SEC offense?
Are we going to see air raid in Alabama? No, but it's going to look different. We saw it. We got a little taste of it, right, in the championship. It did look different. Tua is far more of a passer than some of the quarterbacks he's had. And that's probably why the boosters could tell, by the way, that he's looking like the lead quarterback. Because when you watch the practices, I'm guessing they look very different. New offensive coordinator, perhaps a new scheme. It's not going to be the same run, grind it into dust. But it's a no-brainer. I mean, right now, look at the odds for the Heisman. Tua is in the mix. An Alabama quarterback is in the mix on Heisman odds. Not, a defensive end, not a running back, a quarterback. That tells you everything you need to know about this team.
And what happens the first day? Here's what I'm curious about. What happens the first time he throws a pick that puts their defense on a short field in a close game where he's accustomed to saying, listen, just don't make any mistakes. Yeah. By the time we get to the end of this game, we'll have made 2 plays on offense and held them to nothing, and that's how we're going to win. And all of a sudden this kid, because if you're going to throw the ball, it's going to happen, is going to put their defense on a short field in a bad spot. I'd be very interested to see what happens then.
He's going to stick with him. What we saw in the championship, that wasn't common, right? Going from quarterback to quarterback. That's what backs against the wall. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. Nick Saban knows that as a college program, you've got to find your guy and then ride him through those problems, interceptions. Otherwise, they'll completely blow his confidence.
What do you think, Jay?
The decision to actually change quarterbacks in the national championship game is going to go down to all-time genius. We're going to look back at it and say, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it worked out for the better. In this case, however, as you alluded to, as you mentioned, he's going to have to stick with the mistakes. You can't be jerking them in and out now. Everybody's going to see it, and it's going to make the team lose confidence. But here's the other thing I want to say. Imagine those athletes who are on scholarship. They get a chance to perform in front of who? The boosters. How about that? They get a free practice to go check out their scholarship athletes, and they give us the breaking news about what's happening. There's so much money in the game.
Yeah, there is. There's so much money. In all honesty, that was the first thought I had also, was the boosters get a chance
Y'all
to
get out there and play
Breaking
for the
news.
boosters. It's just like in the NBA. Before a player gets traded, they start to put negative things out there about you because there's actually people walking the earth that bought your jersey. This is the exact same thing. We're going to let the boosters see it, so now we don't have a Texas situation about somebody putting on Facebook something about what the coach did, and now they're unhappy and they want to withdraw their money.
Keep the boosters happy, and then they give us news.
So as far as I'm concerned, we call that a win-win in the biz. But look, I'll be very curious to see. Jalen Hurts plays football the way Nick Saban has always coached football. So to all of a sudden change this around, maybe it's spectacular, and maybe it's a little bit of a square peg in a round hole, or a round peg in a, which one doesn't go in? Well, whichever one it is, the wrong peg in the wrong hole. You know where I'm going with that.